Hey everybody, I'm Alan Farner and this is
David Branda.
David Branda. And David Branda is the owner, and what other titles should we give you?
Operator, chief cook and bottle washer.
Everything.
Everything.
At the Sherman Theatre. Exactly. R-E, not E. R-E. And so David's been kind enough. We're going to do a walk around. I'm going to ask him questions and stuff. He's going to give us some history, tell us about all the dead bodies and stuff that we can find in different locations. And we'll learn a bit about the theater. You like the dead body stuff, huh? What you don't see is Augie's here too. So everybody say hi to Augie. So I'm going to turn the camera toward him, turn this around like this, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we can even start right here. Look at this. What's this?
This is our snack bar concession area.
And has this changed over time, or is
This has changed a lot, yes.
Okay.
It's basically in the same area since Commonwealth. Commonwealth Theaters owned this theater until roughly 1988 to 89, 90.
Okay.
Then I purchased it from Crown Cinema, and this is kind of bumbling here.
This is so everybody. Just in fairness, I didn't give him a heads up I would do this. So this is not scripted.
No,
Would that be
this
fair
is
to say?
not
This is not scripted. So the theater was open to when originally?
Okay, this was built in 1926. It
Okay.
opened August 2nd, 1926 as a silent movie vaudeville theater.
Okay.
This area right in here was one room. It was an office room. There
Okay.
were two rooms in the front of the building. An office, rental room, lobby that you came in, and then on the south, another office room. Originally constructed, there was a wall right through here.
Okay.
So this would have been a rental room. On this side, this would have actually been outside when the building was constructed.
So outdoor, literally outdoors.
Literally
Okay.
outdoors. There was a ticket booth right in the center. You came into an entryway with a tiled high ceiling. There were French doors right on this wall that led into what I assumed was the office.
Okay.
So all of this area was open. There were one-sheet poster cases on the walls advertising what would be coming. When you got back to this area, there was a set of double doors right here, another set of double doors here. Then you actually came in and entered the theater from outside.
Okay. Directly.
Directly from
Okay.
outside. And then I assumed that there was someone taking tickets in here. It was a fairly small lobby. There were two stairways going to the restrooms and balcony upstairs. At that time, the women's restroom was in the northwest corner of the building. The men's restroom was in the southwest corner of the building. There's one remaining stairway here. When Commonwealth remodeled in 1968, they relocated the restrooms to the main floor. In choosing the area that they used for the restrooms, they took out one stairway to gain access to a wall for the doorways to the restrooms.
So there used to be a stairway down that direction?
There was a stairway that went up here.
Oh, okay.
There are actually three basements in this building.
Okay.
One basement under the northwest corner, one basement under the southwest corner, and then a full basement underneath the entire stage.
Oh, under the stage. Okay.
So there is a stairway that goes down to the basement underneath this stairway. There is a capped off stairway underneath this floor that goes down to that basement.
Okay.
And there's a trap door in the corner of the men's restroom to actually get into the basement for plumbing issues and things like that.
So it's not a secret hideaway?
No, no more. No more.
No dead bodies down there?
Not yet. No.
Good point. Did you hear that, Augie?
Yes.
We do have a handicapped restroom. And
Okay.
It was easier and cheaper just to build a completely new handicap restroom than to restore
So that would be
and
right there, right?
redesign the existing one. So this is the handicapped restroom, and this used to be part of the lobby.
Oh, okay.
So it was just easier to do that. There are doors here, but originally there were arches instead of a square
So
cut door.
there was no drop ceiling,
No,
it was
it's
higher?
a
and
plaster ceiling. It's
Okay.
about a foot higher than
Okay.
this. And there were curtains there. There were actually 4 arches cut into the wall. So one back in there, one in here, which would have been kind of like this, one over here in this area, and then another arch over here. So from the lobby, you could actually look into the auditorium without going in. We have uncovered part of the original floor from 1926, the tile,
Okay, yeah.
and at least revealed enough of it so that one could get a sense of what the floor looked like.
Yeah, no, that's very beautiful. Right there. Now, we should, just if you don't mind me interrupting, let's talk about this. So you're purely digital now, right?
Yes, we are.
So, and that was, I forgot the date, you went
March
digital.
4th, 2010 was our first digital presentation.
And you had no choice. I mean, the
No,
movies are all digital now,
Yeah,
right?
Yes. It was either go digital or go out of business.
Now, this is not as old as the original ones you guys would have had, but this is how it used to be, right?
This is the equipment that was used until we went digital, and it's of different ages. This is called a basement sound head, magazine, film magazine, the projector base. This would have been from about the 1940s, 50s era.
Okay.
The projector itself and the lamp house itself would have likely been manufactured in the 1960s.
And I think people should notice a couple things. First of all, why such a big hole at the top? You want to
There was
explain to
an
people?
exhaust fan that would draw the heat. Inside, this lamp house is rated for a 3,000 watt bulb.
Wow.
Here at the Sherman, we still use a 2,000 watt bulb, and it generates a lot of heat. It's a xenon bulb, and xenon bulbs you want to handle with great care because they are subject to exploding. And if a bulb were to explode and you would not be covered, it'd be like shrapnel going all through you. So this was to keep it cool, keep it safe. I've been told that when a xenon bulb is cold, it has maybe 2 or 3 atmospheres of pressure in it.
Okay.
And then as it's used and as it's running and gains heat, that pressure increases, and it could have over 20 atmospheres of pressure. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know the exact numbers, but it is
So
hazardous.
we should note that you may not have thought that being a projectionist was a dangerous job. But yes, they could explode. They could overheat, right? And you told me earlier, I don't know if it still is, but when we look at the booth later, the booth originally was fireproof, right?
Correct.
And why was it fireproof?
It was fireproof because the film was flammable. And as it would burn, it would actually give off toxic gases. And that was to control any blaze that might be happening and also to prevent the noxious gases from getting around other people.
And this is more of the floor right here, right?
This is more of the floor, yes.
That is beautiful.
And this is a rectifier.
Okay, what does a rectifier
The
do?
rectifier changes AC into DC current.
So there was a DC
So the
projector?
lamp house, it runs off of a DC current.
Okay.
And before the lamp house, when we used carbon arcs, they used a generator, which would convert AC into DC. The generator was housed in the basement. I'm assuming because maybe of a noise factor
Okay. From the generator, yeah.
from the generator.
Cool. Well, this is really neat. I like also how, as much as you could, you've kept the feel of the old with some of the labels, the signs above the men's and women's room, even these light things, just to give it a bit more of an atmosphere. And you can see that some of the different ages too, based on this. You guys may not remember it, but this stuff used to be pretty popular, right? It's not exactly the 70s paneling that we had, but got some history
No, this
here.
would be from the 90s.
I'm just saying, back in the 70s, wood paneling was this. This is interesting. What's that from?
That is from RCA. RCA and Western Electric were in fierce competition for theater sound business.
Okay.
And when sound first came into the Sherman, the owner chose Western Electric sound equipment. When Commonwealth owned the theater in the 40s, about 47, 48, they put in a new sound system and they went with RCA. So RCA had bronze plaques, Western Electric did as well. And you would mount the plaque either on the outside of the building or somewhere in a prominent place to let people know that you were getting the best sound possible.
Okay. Is it Dolby now and stuff like
It's
that?
Dolby Digital
No,
now,
yeah,
yes.
we're right above it. Great. Well, can we go in?
Sure,
Can we see
we
what's
can
in
go in.
there? I mean, we could show people the bathroom, but I've got this feeling that seen one
Probably
bathroom, you've
not.
seen them all.
Probably
Does the
not.
women's room have like a huge couch in it, like some?
No, it does not.
So, folks, I want to just make a comment about this. Obviously, you're not seeing the pure beauty because you've got things like caution tape. I may have joked about dead bodies, but that's because of COVID, not dead bodies.
Right,
And
COVID-19.
not police. What do they call the places where they're investigating crimes? But one of the things, even at night, obviously it's nice. I like it lit up like this, but even at night, this is just you just don't see this anymore. And I've worked. I never told you this. So I worked in ticketing for a long period of time. And it wasn't for cinema, but this is a theater, as in more than cinema, and we'll talk about the stage. And as time has gone on, a lot of the places are very sterile. Even the amazing ones, if you look at them, they're just modern stuff. This has a history you've done, we'll talk a bit about, you've done to restore certain things, but this is a gem. And I think you had mentioned that what was the original company that put the theater in here and they owned all over Colorado, the fourth largest?
At one time, it was originally built by Ernest Sprague as a private individual.
Okay.
He sold it to Central States Theater, or leased it to Central States Theater, which combined with Commonwealth Theaters based in Kansas City. And at one time, Commonwealth was the fourth largest theater company in the United States.
Right. And so I think what people don't realize is this is a town you said yesterday about 4,500?
Yeah.
How many towns do you think there are in the world of 4,500 people with a theater like this?
At one time, virtually every town like this, at least in the United States and the Midwest.
Yeah, but not anymore.
No.
That's what I mean is these have gone. Now, so I'm from Strasburg, Colorado, and I can't remember what they did, but they actually have a little theater where somebody tried to do it. But the interior it wasn't really a theater. The front looks like actually what I would call like a midget theater. It's a strangely small thing. It has a sense, but the rest of it is not that way. So this is just amazing. I'll take some pictures and stuff too, but tell us more about this hall, what is in it, what its history is and stuff like that.
Well, presently there are 286 seats downstairs.
Okay.
When the theater was built, there were around 700 seats down here. But the seats were wooden, they were narrower, and they were much closer together. The walls were originally plaster walls.
These here.
Yes, all the walls were plaster because it
Yeah.
was silent movies. They
Okay.
didn't have to worry about acoustics. There was a tin ceiling as
Okay.
originally constructed.
That's not hiding up there, is it?
No.
Oh, darn.
No, unfortunately.
That would be
it's
awesome.
not.
Yeah.
There were woodland scenes painted in each section of the wall. So there were 8 woodland scenes in here. Middle of January 1928, a fire occurred on the stage end of the building.
Okay.
A lot of smoke damage, and this part destroyed the stage end. So when they rebuilt and redecorated, they put up the peacocks and roses. And not all of them are centered in the arches because when they were painted on the wall, it was a plain plaster open wall.
Oh, okay, and they could place them anywhere.
And if you got it a wee bit off balance, off centered, you didn't notice it. As luck would have it, by 1929, by the end of 1929, sound was being installed in the Sherman, and the current thought was you had to cover every hard surface with a sound-absorbing material. So they chose Celotex, which was a fiber board.
Okay.
And the original factory finish of the Celotex that they put in here was like blocks, castle blocks that you might see in a great hall in a castle.
Okay.
So the arches and the walls were of that nature, and inside the arches, there was a piece of Celotex that just covered everything. In the 1940s, 47, 48, Commonwealth came in and redecorated again, and they took the original Celotex, painted the walls and the ceilings a blue-green, and all of the arches were like the 2 arches adjacent to the stage.
Okay.
That happened in 47, 48. In 1968, Commonwealth came in again and redecorated and prior to the sound fold that's on the wall, to get the biggest change for the least money possible, they spray painted everything gold.
Okay.
Just, except for the ceiling, and that was the charcoal up there. But everything else was just spray painted gold. So all of that, the reason those survived next to the stage is because around the band where it occurs there, they hung drapery. So they didn't actually change anything at that point. They hung draperies. So we still have the blue-green behind the sound fold there and have a little bit of history of what was. Then in 2017 maybe, I simply wanted to find the electrical boxes to put sconces back on the walls because I grew up in Goodland and I remembered wall fixtures.
Okay.
So I started with the peacock and roses down there because the fabric overlapped right in the center. I could pull it back, experiment, pull off Celotex and cover it over,
behind there, yeah.
and nobody would know I was messing around. And I was off a little bit. I thought the lights would be actually a little bit taller than they are or higher on the wall.
Yep.
So when I was taking off the Celotex, I uncovered part of the peacock's tails. And, you know, you couldn't let it just go.
Okay, wait, I gotta ask, just so I understand it. So where the peacocks are now was just covered up?
Covered up.
Okay.
Covered up originally with Celotex.
Yeah.
And then in about 1969, 70, covered over the Celotex with Soundfold, which is a flame-proofed burlap.
So then you basically go behind the Celotex to see, you're trying to put some lights in.
Yes.
And lo and behold, you see the tail of a bird.
Right. So I take the Celotex off just from top to bottom of where the area where the painting is and get the two peacocks and roses. And then I just draped the material back. I wasn't really at that point thinking of uncovering all of them.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to show them. And the reaction from the public was so neat that this is wonderful, what a find you have here. So we completely uncovered that entire arch. Then we went to the bottom one on the other side to keep it symmetrical.
Okay.
And kept our fingers crossed that there would be no big crack in the wall going through there or anything. And that one was okay. So all right, we shoot the wad and go for the third one. And lo and behold, it's okay. So we walk across and we uncover the fourth one. And so far we're symmetrical. If worst comes to worst, we haven't done anything. We got 4 of them.
Yep.
Then we go to 5, it's okay. 6 is okay. 7 was all right, except not being centered, and 8 not being centered. But they were all good, and we're fortunate that the Celotex was applied to the walls with millions of small nails. Just nails everywhere. No, just individually nailed in, no nail gun. And we did not cover any of the nail holes or any of the imperfections inside the paintings. We did repaint the background and feather it in close.
Oh, the white or pink? What is it?
But yeah, pink. We cleaned it many times and then neutralized it with a vinegar wash at the very end. Just to try and preserve it, but we have not done any work to the original painting. They were covered for 84 years.
Wow.
And being covered for 84 years, it kept the paint in pristine shape.
Wow, that is nice. That is, now I notice you obviously have put a pretty nice sound system in here.
Yes.
Plenty of
Yes,
speakers.
that went back in the 90s.
In the 90s, okay. So how long have you owned it?
I bought it in November of 1990.
Okay. Wow, 30 years that quickly, huh? I remember when 90 seemed late.
I know.
Now it seems early.
And then Y2K, would anything work after Y2K?
Yeah.
The mural on the back has been restored. And the frame is really neat around this because the proscenium arch on the stage was this same frame.
So is this an original frame or from a long time
No,
ago?
this is an original. This was cast into the wall.
Oh, okay.
And it's signed, the artist signed it and dated it 1928. I think it's February something down there.
that's
The
hard to
light
say.
has
Yep.
to be really good.
I like the Christmas decoration.
Yes. We did that, we decorated for Christmas and we thought, well, we'll just leave the lights around here.
So I think I've told you I have a year-round internet Christmas radio station. So I'm big on people who keep the spirit going
Yeah, we did restore this one because you could walk right up to it.
and touch it.
And they used this actually just to write. When they were remodeling in here through the years, they wrote figures and numbers and everything
interesting.
on there. They used it for a blackboard actually. So a woman and an artist in Waukene came down and restored it.
Well, there's an idea. With COVID, they want the less kids in class. This could be a classroom. That could be the chalkboard.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful.
It's got a history. It's not like the
does
first
have a
time.
history.
Although I suppose if we were going to do that, we should talk about the stage, because the stage, now, most of the use has been movies, right?
Right.
Exactly. But that's not all that's been happening in here. What other kind of things have you had here, and what would you call out as special? The types of things, and then what would be like especially special from what you've seen?
Well, from the time that the theater was built, the high school, which was in existence at that time, did not have an auditorium per se.
Okay.
They had a gym, assembly room, but not an auditorium with a stage. So when the theater was built, it was used for musicals, plays, drama, things like that. Traveling acts would come through Goodland, present their act, and then move on to other towns in the days of vaudeville. We've had a college choir sing here. We've had churches use it. We've had community plays put on here. 4-H Club at the time of the fair uses it for their style review.
Okay.
Just two weddings have occurred in the auditorium. Someone has approached me about having a funeral in here when he dies, but I don't know if that will actually happen.
Well, he won't approach you again after that.
No, not after that. Actually, a former manager of the theater thought it would be appropriate and fitting to have his funeral here.
I don't blame him. Any large acts that you can think of that ever played here, like big names that somebody would know?
Well, Tim Holt was a famous actor
Okay.
back in the 40s. He appeared here in Goodland. We've got the newspaper clippings from that.
Well, everybody's got to Google now, Tim Holt,
Tim
right?
Holt.
Well, you and I should talk on the side. Maybe we'll get like a concert here or something.
Yeah. Well, we have
Occasionally,
had-
a band
we've had
will
concerts
want to
here.
have like an intimate thing, and this would be an awesome place for
We
that.
have had band. We've had that. We've had simulcasts on the
Okay.
screen since we went digital.
And they can talk to you if somebody has something they'd like to put on. They can always chat with you about the
Yes.
opportunity to use the theater.
Yes, this would be a great place for gaming. To put your gaming system on the big screen.
Oh, and interesting you should see, now you're more hip than I am, because the fact is they have those contests. And yeah, that would be a really neat thing to hook into one of those. Remind me about that too. I don't have the connections, but as you know, my boy, he wants to be famous in gaming, become a gaming programmer. So yeah, no, that's a neat idea. Okay,
One thing
Yeah.
unique about this behind you, one of the workmen was named Sid.
okay.
Sid was part of the crew that was covering all the walls with Celotex. And before he covered this one, he wrote his name up there.
Is it still there?
It's still there. He wrote it in pencil. Sid on the left peacock, by the left peacock, and then he wrote the date. It was November, maybe 12th, November something, 1929.
Okay, so where on the peacock? Because I'm not sure.
It would be
See if I can zoom in
about
here.
2/3 down on the tail
On the left peacock?
and on the right. So Sid was on the left and the date was on the right.
Yeah, I don't know if I can actually.
And you can't, I mean, you have to get up
to
there.
get up
It was
there.
written in pencil, but when we cleaned that, we very meticulously cleaned around it and did not touch anything that Sid wrote.
Well, if Sid's still out there, although I suspect he's not.
Probably
There's Sid's, okay. Okay, well, how about under here? What's hidden under the exit doors, other than doors?
This is just an exit, a stairway going to the back exit stairway. The stage has been extended 6 feet.
From the original?
Underneath the stage was an orchestra pit, or actually still is, that can be used for storage area now. It was not a sunken pit.
Oh, okay.
Because the stage is high.
Raised, yeah.
It is quite elevated, it's good. So this was a wood floor beginning from here back to the stage. It was a wood floor at that point. There was a small single door in this area that people could come out from the basement. In the center of the pit, there was a large double door access where they could bring out instruments, still store them wherever,
Okay.
and just come out that way. And now that area is used as a partial air return.
Okay, and now if I wanted to get on stage, I assume I don't hop up,
Well, you can, you're fit.
but not coordinated.
Well, I guess one of the things that we've used the theater since COVID,
Yeah,
I'm in a yoga class, and our place where we did yoga, we did it at the college here, and they shut down all the buildings during the COVID. And so we had yoga on the stage at the theater.
but not anymore?
Not anymore. Not anymore. The college is back open with their facilities, so.
Yeah, but there's still something to be said, you know what I mean? That I think, so if you're watching this, folks, think out of the box. This is an amazing location, and lots of things can be done with it. Now, let me see. The shiny stuff, why the shiny stuff? Is it fireproofing, soundproofing?
It's simply an insulation.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a masonry block wall,
Okay.
brick veneer on the outside, and the north wind.
Yep.
So this was the most economical way to insulate the backstage area.
Okay. Oh, more Christmas stuff. Look at that.
More Christmas stuff.
Okay, back door. That's when those huge acts like Guns N' Roses and
Yeah.
AC/DC they come through there, right?
Yes.
And here's the
With a
screen.
catwalk way up there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, okay.
Catwalk behind the
dizzy looking up.
screen, and there used to be a catwalk in front of the stage here.
Interesting. So, yeah, very nice.
The screen is 32 feet wide.
Oh, so it widens even more. Okay.
There are two current aspect ratios widely in use. When the whole thing is opened up, you're in an aspect ratio of 2.35 or 2.39 to 1. That's width to height.
Okay.
When the curtains were closed before I just opened them, that was called flat, and that's 1.85 to 1.
So people are familiar with, say, HDMI, 1920 by 1080, right? Or I suppose you can use more with HDMI cables now, but HD, the original HD, 1920 by 1080. How would this compare to that? It's wider, right?
That would be more like this size,
Okay.
because you're getting the widescreen, like widescreen on TV.
Okay. Now, so from a use standpoint, you can tell that, because if this like or a concert venue or whatever, you probably have a whole bunch of lights already up
and
there permanently.
Yeah, and well, we have minimal lighting in here
Yep.
because it's not used that much for outside events.
Yep.
But we have acts come in, we have had that brought in their own lighting.
And then you have all the area where they can hook things up the
Yes.
way they need to.
Yes.
Oh, I can't forget. Here, don't fall off it, but go towards the stage so I get you in the frame. But walk towards the end of the stage there, and when people see you and your wonderful theater here, and if you go over the edge, then I'll have a really good video for
Yes, you
YouTube.
will. You'll have something, a must
And
watch
people will
event.
like keep repeating it and stuff.
Just keep bouncing back up.
So you still do have a balcony too, because I've never been up here. So you still, how many does your balcony sit?
We have 89 seats in the balcony, and the seats that are up there were from the 1947-48 era.
So they're uncomfortable.
No, they're very comfortable.
Oh, really?
Actually, they're extremely comfortable, and I still have all of the love seats that went with that type of
So
seating.
the love seat meaning two people sitting
Yes,
together?
and they were the true, actual love seats with the enlarged back pan and the seat pan. Mm-hmm. So, and those are stored downstairs, which we'll get to pretty soon. But the stage, The screen is 32 feet wide.
Okay.
So from outside edge to outside edge at its widest, it's about 36 feet wide.
The stage
From
itself.
The stage itself. And then from the front of the stage back to the screen, it's about 18 and a half feet.
Nice. And so that wall right there is outside, on the other side. There's more businesses that
Yes.
way. The behind the screen is outside too,
Outside.
right? Okay.
There's about 5 feet behind the screen to the back wall, where we have the speakers and a little pathway to walk. Behind this curtain is a deck. On the other side of this wall is the hallway leading to the exit door.
Oh,
In case
right,
there were a
exactly.
fire, that way you would be contained within a hall and couldn't get lost out on the stage. This area up here is storage. It used to be a fan room.
Fan room as in there were fans in it, or the people who were fans were in it?
Fan room as there was, then it went out actually to about here. It was much bigger. It was heated by steam coils with a huge squirrel cage that went into the ductwork in the attic. And then the steam coils were about in this area, and then the cooling coils came along here, and they were wide, a whole wall of cooling coils from floor to ceiling, at least 5 feet.
Cooling coils. That's
Yes.
interesting.
And then there was a little open space. On the outside wall here, there was a door that you could manually open and close if you wanted fresh air.
Nice. But now all closed up because you bring your air in from the outside, right?
Right. I like looking down from this perspective.
Oh yeah, look at that. I didn't go all the way to the top. I imagine the last step, holding one on the camera, would be interesting. As you can see in the camera, hopefully it'll come through when the video does. I like the effect of the lights.
Yes.
This is really nice.
This past winter, we put in LED lighting as far as the auditorium ceiling lights.
Yeah.
We put them back in the original locations when the building was built. We went in and found all of that up in the attic. We put in new wiring and stuff like that, but where the placement is, it's exactly where it was originally constructed.
Okay. See if I can get down and keep the camera from crashing. I should do a shout out to the Sony ZV-1. So I don't know how long we've been recording. Let's see, it says we've been recording for a half an hour and it's only down 1 notch with battery right now. Go figure.
So good.
Yeah, let's hope we don't run out of space too. I think it will tell me how much time I've got left.
Well, we'll find out. We'll quit when you're out of space.
Well, the good news is I have another card and more batteries.
All right. So we'll go behind the screen.
Sounds good. So again, folks, this gem is here. You're getting to see things that you wouldn't normally get to see. There we go.
So I'll let you pan this way. The speakers, the horns up there, that's the center, right, and left stage speakers. The stage, the screen is perforated.
Oh, look at those JBLs. Nice. Oh,
And
yeah, that allows the air to kind of get
that
back.
allows
There's
the-
pressure changes and
The
stuff.
voice to go through.
Oh,
sound,
because
so
you've got
it
the
will not
sound,
be muffled.
and it's coming from the screen versus,
Right,
okay.
right. And this is the 1928 front curtain.
Oh, okay. So you recycle, or actually it's not recycle, it's reuse. Which is
Reused.
even better than recycling.
Reused, and then we have two subwoofers, one on either side of the center screen, or center stage speaker.
And if anybody's never owned JBL, even their consumer stuff is generally really, really good. Some of the best speakers I've had are JBL.
They're very good. Very good. They're bi-amped. These speakers, meaning that the horn has a separate amp,
Oh, okay.
as does the
Instead of
bass
sharing
cabinet.
Okay.
So you get better sound quality.
Those are mighty large circuit breakers there.
Yes.
What do they do?
That was part of the main disconnect, still is part of the main disconnect.
There we go. Okay. Those are pretty amazing horns. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here.
And we use good 10 gauge speaker cable to get the best frequency response we could.
Well, I know when we came to a movie the first time there, it was very nicely done. Can't remember what the movie was. It was a Christian movie. Speaking of that, it was a Christian movie.
So, since space is tight,
I'm trusting you that you didn't. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, yeah, there we
the
go.
unruly patrons.
Okay, now for the dead bodies.
So, yeah. So we'll go down to the basement.
Okay, folks, you got to admit, unless you're a personal friend of David's, you probably haven't seen what you're about to see.
And this was
The generator?
the original refrigerated air conditioner.
Oh,
This is a 50-ton compressor.
so you probably won't be taking it out of the basement
No,
anytime soon.
we just left it, and these were the Freon lines.
Do they even allow you to use Freon anymore?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it's a different type of Freon, but you're still allowed to, I think so.
That's wild. You know, a quick story, not that you care, but when I went through nuclear power school in the Navy, we had a problem one time on a test, and what they did is they showed what you could look at as a reverse reactor, reverse generator, and they said, "What is this?" And you look through, you go through it. It's a refrigerator. So there you go.
Reverse, that makes sense. And this is used for
Storage and
seat parts from the old seat parts that I have for the balcony.
So-
Standees, Coke standees.
so what you're saying is you will turn your back, not mention that I noticed that I've disappeared for a little while and put these in my car, right?
Right.
I have an Elvis cutout. I'll trade you for a Santa.
I'll keep my sanity. Thank you.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. That and these date back probably at this point 30 years.
Well, if you ever are going to get rid of them, you know who to call first, okay?
Okay.
I'll compensate you, I assure you. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. In the Coca-Cola Santa stuff, as things have gotten more commercialized, it's hard to find ones that really have that same feel. So that's really nice. And you've been wise. You don't look to me like you are a hoarder per se, but you're keeping things around.
I keep things
Once
that I
history's
value.
gone, when history is gone, I'll tell people because I regretfully have done this in my life. Don't hoard, but just understand that what may seem unimportant to you, like I think of my G.I. Joes when I was a kid and all the stuff I had, there was a period of time it was unimportant to me, but boy, I wish I had it now. So,
Right.
Cool.
So we have, and we use this for storage primarily at this point for decorations, seasonal,
Yeah.
and everything that I quote unquote hoard, I do display during the season. And of course, years ago, people that worked here wrote their names.
okay, I was going to say anything interesting on that wall, just more names of
Yes,
people.
people that used to work here.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe we should raffle off the ability to put your name up there, right?
Right, exactly.
This is neat. Now, I will admit, being 6'4", ceiling just a little makes me a little paranoid, but it's not too bad.
Too bad.
I tell people, like in New England houses, folks, just be cautious because people were shorter when they built a lot of the original New England houses, and the door jambs are just at the height that if you're wearing a ball cap, you will not notice, and a good day will turn bad very quickly.
Well, that won't happen here. Okay, going around the corner here.
Now we get to test out the ZV1's light control. There we go. You got
Yes.
something on there.
So before we had the present forced air
Yep.
current furnace, we had a steam boiler in the basement. And there originally, before this, there were 2 furnace pits down here in the basement.
Furnace pits. What's a furnace pit?
This is a furnace pit.
What does it mean? What do you do?
The furnace was down in
Oh,
the
sits
pit.
down in the. Okay, so it's
And,
like
and the
submerged a
one
little
on
bit.
the other side where the shelving has been filled in, but you can still see the outline of the pit on the floor.
Wow, check this out. Is Al Capone's vault here somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, check this out. There's even more back here.
And behind here was the coal room.
Well, if you've got a furnace pit.
Because it went from coal to oil to natural gas.
What was that? Is that like a filter?
And this is an air return now.
Yeah, okay.
And behind this air return is the little door that you can climb out into the orchestra pit.
Aha! Except it's not an orchestra
Yeah,
pit
it's storage
anymore, 'cause
room.
It's, yeah. I don't know. You got my hopes up. My son is a professional euphonium player, and I say that even though it's not like he's a member of an actual paid band, but he's been paid to play his euphonium. He's got a master's in it, and so when you say that, I'm just like, oh darn, it's boxed up.
Yeah, well, and we need to call attention to the true love seats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they need to be cleaned and reupholstered, of course, but I've got all of the parts, everything that would be needed to reassemble them.
Now would
The backs, the seats, the standards.
two 21st century people actually fit together in a love seat?
Could be. Could.
That is neat. Do you have any plans, or it's just a potential future thing?
It's the potential. It could.
That is a nice. Is that the one wreath? Big wreath?
That's the wreath that I had inside, in front of the entrance door as you come in, not the one on the front of the building.
But again,
Another.
this is something. There you go. You know your business. I mean, they're just some neat ideas. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but I love that, the size of the Freon lines, copper lines that went from, there's still a tank, an oil tank buried behind the building, and this was the
There's a
copper
line
lines to feed
Yeah, and more
the
there.
boiler.
Wow, this is really neat. This is really neat.
And this right here is where one of the entrances was for the coal chute.
Can't get to the coal chute from the outside anymore, huh?
Not so much.
Oh, look at that. That's a good scene. That, very nice. Oh, well, I might as well get this. This tank saver or tank heater. Let's come close to that.
Yes, you can have domestic hot water by inserting a unit in that area with an in and out for water supply.
It's interesting to me that the ceiling is so high in the basement because I'm so used to older buildings having, I basically have to be paranoid because if there's any kind of pipe or anything, it's going to take me out. This is a pretty high ceiling for when it was built.
It was. You'll see in the ceiling here, there was a wall that came across from here to here. On this wall were all of the controls for this AC unit.
Oh, so it's
The
quite...
fan controls, the outside, there was remember when air conditioners of any size had the water
Yeah.
that would come down and the fan blowing the air, sucking air through it. It was a big unit outside, a condenser unit. And
So do you know the guy, I forget his name, that you said built this to begin with?
Ernest Sprague.
Was he like some rich farmer, or what inspired him to build a theater in
I
Goodland?
think he was just a businessman. He operated a theater a couple blocks down
Oh, a different
in
one.
another building called the Lyric Theater. And
Okay.
the business that used to be on this corner before it was a theater was a livery stable.
Okay.
And he bought this property and constructed the theater.
Well, whatever reason, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the secret areas? I know I've been keeping you. What other secret areas should we see?
Well,
We
let's
definitely haven't seen the booth yet.
no, let's do that. I'll let you go up and
Okay.
we'll walk up down here.
So is that a 1920s fan right there?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
30 cement block. And here's a mirror that if you look at yourself, you look like you're back in the 50s. Yeah, I don't consider myself somebody who gets scared easily, but I can't say I'd want to climb that ladder. Looks sturdy, but
It
still
is
quite a
sturdy.
distance.
It is sturdy.
There we go. Okay,
All right.
where to next?
Upstairs.
Well, I know which direction since you only have one set of stairs now. Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay, what's behind the secret door here?
That goes into a room that is presently used for the ice machine, custodian's sink, syrup boxes for the pop, and then the stairway goes downstairs.
Okay, and this door's to the outside, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why that sign's there.
Probably.
I don't know. Something else I should note to people. Was this the normal reel size back in the days?
This is a 2,000-foot reel, and it would last approximately 20 minutes.
I was going to say, because it seems to me when I did my projection work, they were bigger than this.
They were. Well, your theater, did you have a platter?
No, it was overhead, but they were big.
Okay, so you used the reels that were that size.
The one down there, yes, yeah.
That's a 6,000-foot reel, and it would last an hour.
Well, then I had to do less work than you.
Yes, less work.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's go upstairs. Augie, you surviving all right, man?
Yeah.
How's your game going? We got to talk later, Augie. He had an awesome idea for something to be done in the theater. Whoops. Now that's interesting, that exit sign. Hopefully people don't walk into the wall thinking,
Not too often. The seating from
wow, look at that.
1947-48 era.
Nice, very
It
nice.
is nice, and they are comfortable. They really are.
Well, I guess I still have, I love Fenway Park, but the old seats in Fenway Park, not necessarily wide enough for nowadays and definitely not very comfortable. But if you're watching a good ball game, who cares?
That's right. That's right. No, these are comfortable. They're narrower than the ones downstairs, but
And how many did you say are up here?
89 up here.
Is that kind of, what was it like originally? Do you know?
It would have been less than 89 because there would not have been seats in this area.
Was this
You
blocked
can
off?
see the post right here because
Okay.
this is where the stairway came up from down there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there was this wall that comes up this high. Originally, this was open between here and here. And there was a hallway from this point to about here, maybe 5-6 feet wide hall, which they were symmetrical. The women's restroom was on this side.
Okay.
So you'd come up here, you'd go down that hall to the end of the hall, turn right, and go into the restroom. So what they did when Commonwealth remodeled in '68, they took out this wall, took out that hallway, made it into one larger room, and made it into the manager's office.
Okay.
Okay. This side is still the same configuration as it was originally built, with the exception of that small wall that went across here, and the railing has been removed, and then the seats were added. But on this side, then there was a window here. This was the men's restroom.
Oh, okay.
On the other side, a little lounge area, and there was also a window in the same spot on the south for the women. So it kind of served as going up here, still being able to see what was going on in the auditorium. And also over there, it could serve as a cry room.
So you could go to the bathroom and still see?
Yes, not from the pot.
Okay, it was just, yeah, had me worried
No.
there. I mean, I realized it was a different day and time, but I just figured.
Yes, yes. And there was, there were 700 seats in here originally. There
Yeah.
was one men's toilet and one women's toilet for 700 people. Not quite up to today's standards.
No, I imagine not.
Okay.
And you would know all those rules because as you've remodeled and stuff.
Yes. Okay, so this was the hallway that you went down, you turned into this doorway, and you went into the men's room,
Okay.
which is now a
Filing cabinets.
room for my one-sheets, posters.
And this is where the alarm system is if you want to break in.
Yeah. And
That's,
now the furnace room, too.
speaking of a different age, you don't see many of those lamps around anymore.
Oh, that I just got that last year.
Oh, did you?
For years, I wanted one of those. I put it into this window at the holiday.
That is
It's
nice.
neat. I love that movie.
That is cool. Yeah,
I
there you
love
go.
it. Okay, this is the booth.
Now the booth wasn't this big originally, right?
Yes, the booth was this big.
Was it? I thought you, okay, I misunderstood.
No, I wish it had been larger, actually. If it had been larger, I would have been able to keep the current digital projector as well as the film and platter system. But I still have the reels on the wall because it's not a booth unless you have reels.
Exactly. And those are real reels, I should
Yes,
say.
they are.
So now somebody's just decorating.
And
Yeah, and
this is my last pre-show.
last pre-show. What's that?
All the policy trailers,
okay,
the
yeah.
previews, the ads from the last movie that we showed. And the last movie was Dear John,
Dear John?
which
Okay.
was a fitting title for Kissing This Goodbye.
But you do have some other stuff here. You can talk about how it would be used. I don't see the cutters that we used to use, but
No, that would be in a different, yes. And these were hand rewinds. You would mount the reels here and, and crank it,
Yeah.
rewind by hand. Splicers that you're talking about that would splice the film
Yep.
together. This originally was for each reel in here because, as you can tell on the floor, there was a projector here that shot out this port. And there was a projector over here that projected through this area. This was projector 1, this was projector 2. In this spot right here, there was a sound control, which was a volume, and also a knob that would go from projector 1, 2, or 3. In that case, some booths had 3 projectors. And there was also another one identical to that there. On the floor, there would have been a floor switch.
okay.
The projectors, we were talking earlier about when you went reel to reel, you looked for the cue marks in the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah.
And once you saw that original first cue mark, you started the projector. It had been pre-threaded and everything set up. So you see it, you start the projector. When you see the second cue mark, you push that, which opens the dowser on this projector, closes the dowser on this one, while simultaneously turning the knob going from projector 1 to 2 or 2 back to 1. And if you did it right, nobody ever
Nobody
knew
knew,
that you
exactly.
changed projectors.
Now let me just going back. What happened if a projector was on but the film stopped spinning midway? What would
You'd
happen?
burn through it.
Just and it's
You would
pretty much like
watch
that.
it. Yeah, you'd just see it burn.
Exactly. Okay. Well, this is neat.
And this is how movies come today.
So like the hard drive?
It's a hard drive. This one has all of the trailers that are currently available that you can.
And then you program it on the
Yes.
computer here? Is that
And-
what you're doing?
This drive has just one movie, Spaceballs.
And I was gonna say, and that's tonight's movie, but by the time they see this, it won't be.
Yeah.
You missed that awesome movie. Can you believe that?
Spaceballs, Mel Brooks, Spaceballs. And this drive has 5 movies on it.
Okay.
And they're of course, we're shooting this at the time of recuperating from COVID-19.
So there are no major releases?
No new releases. So the theaters that are open are doing retro shows. And this is called the Warner Brothers Scary Combo. And you have The Curse of La Llorona, Gremlins, The Lost Boys,
Lost Boys.
Little Shop of Horrors, and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Are you gonna play all
I'm
these?
going to show Little Shop of Horrors director's
Oh.
cut next week.
What about Lost Boys? You ever gonna do that one?
We'll see how long this goes before we get new content.
That's a classic and there's well, either way, well, that is a classic show. It's another thing with modern horror flicks go too far, in my opinion. I haven't seen many that don't. But Lost Boys was Keith Sutherland, right?
Yes.
And it's for its time. Is it 80s? Was that when it came out?
Probably.
Like a 80s. It's a classic.
Wow.
Plus, it's got some really great songs of the soundtrack, which always talk to me.
So this is the digital projector. This is the 3D filter.
Oh, okay.
That will. This was a master image. Originally there was master image. Dolby had its own 3D, and then Real D.
Yeah.
Real D turned out to be the winner in that competition between Real D and Master Image, but I had already gotten the Master Image. When you're showing 3D, this will raise up and you'll project through this wheel.
Okay.
They use Real D, Master Image, all of those uses the same kind of 3D glasses as far as you can.
Is the film that is the digital film the same, or they have to give you like a different version for each one?
A different version. There's a 2D and a 3D version.
Okay.
And you have to program what you're showing. If you're showing 3D here, then you have to actually have this engaged, or it won't look quite right.
What I mean is, are the 3D movies for the one that went out and the one that you got, are they the same movie?
Same movie,
yes.
Yeah. Just processed differently. And then behind here, I saved as many reels or rolls of film as I could. And those were ads, Coke concession ads, policy trailers. This theater has a lot of glass slides, which is really neat. There was a stereo optic, and back in the day, you would, between reels, when it was only a one projector theater and you showed one reel at a time, you had to stop, rethread the projector. So you would take advantage of that downtime, and someone would play the piano and you would sing. So we've got a lot of glass slides that have lyrics of titles, and we've got some really neat ones over here. I like this one that I sometimes, this one says, keep your feet off the seats.
Oh, got to turn it around, I think. Let's see. Yep, here we go.
And this one says, the show will not continue until all the ladies remove their hats. I like that one. We've had the red hat ladies come in occasionally.
And then you throw it. Do you have something to still project that?
Yes, this projector projects it.
Oh, okay. That looks more like a cannon than a projector.
I know, it's neat. No.
Is it hard to find a light bulb for that thing now?
It wasn't the last time I needed to get one, but who knows now if it would be. But that's neat.
So something else that people don't realize, I assume is this air conditioned at all?
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, it warms up very quickly in here.
Yes, it is. We don't heat it during the winter. We close the vents and keep this as cool as possible because you want to keep the equipment cool.
Yeah.
Ghosts. One of the first, the first employee was up here, and of course projectors, that was before Ocean. The gears were more exposed and they were more hazardous.
Not good to wear a tie.
Yeah, and all of that. He acts for somehow the projector was running and he cut off his finger, or the tip of his finger, the first knuckles worth of his finger. And for years he kept his finger up here in a glass of formaldehyde.
Well, that's nice.
So if anytime you've come in here and you feel like someone's giving you the finger, it's the ghost of the finger. And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Anything else to show?
That's pretty good.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Let's bring the lens back over here so we can see each other here. Well, first, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan.
This has been great. I'm still going to spend some more time with this awesome gentleman here, look at some pictures and stuff, talk about history. I will share this with you before it goes out. So what you see, he's going to have approved. Or I'm either that or I'm going to pressure him to let me do it anyway. But thank you very much. This has been interesting. And the history of this theater, again, I know what you said before, that there was a period of time that every 4,500 person town would have had it, but they really aren't out there anymore. So this is really, really special. So now we'll go ahead and I'll press a button. If I do this right, I'll go like that.